Hello artists, so today we're going to be learning about watercolor resists. So much fun. You're going to be using watercolors and crayons to create areas where the watercolor won't go through to create your artwork. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is don't forget your name up at the top of your sketchbook, and then you're going to go ahead and put in watercolor in your sketchbook. And normally we would just put just watercolor, but I'd like you to put B. The B lets me know that it's that you were working on a watercolor resist. All right. So once you've got this, you're going to be doing like a mini piece of artwork to start with to kind of try it out, and then you'll be able to create a new plan and then make a big artwork, like a final piece of artwork. So what you're going to do is you are going to go on over to the painting station, and I've got a couple things here in the watercoloring box. I've got these mini pieces of paper for your mini artwork, so you're going to grab one of those. And then I've got various brush sizes for any of your watercolor artworks, and then there is a box of white, gray, and black crayons. That's a better angle. All right, head on back. So with my white piece of experimental paper, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half. I want to crease it right down the center, make sure that my lines match up, and I'm going to do a nice tight crease here. This is so that I can draw my plan inside. So once I have that, I can make any piece of mini artwork I'd like with this, but I'm just going to draw with pencil inside, like a book. I'm going to draw what I want to create. I want to add some details. It can be anything that you'd like, or you can use the theme up on the board. Once I have that done, then what I'm going to do is I am going to trace my pencil lines with a Sharpie. Any lines that I don't want to keep, or I want to get rid of, or I want to make better, this would be the time to go ahead and trace them how you'd like to. They can be as detailed or as not. One thing I do want to warn you of is because the Sharpie is thicker, there is such a thing as too many details. Sometimes when our lines touch kind of like up here, like this, sometimes that means there's too many details. Once I have that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab white, black, and gray crayons from the crayon box. And I can kind of see it through here, and I've started tracing a little bit, but you can kind of see through the paper some of these lines. You can see shadows from the Sharpie lines. I might have to hold it up and move it around a little bit so that I can trace my lines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be tracing with the white, the gray, and the black crayons here, and I'm going to want to press kind of hard. So here's one of my lines. I've already done the outside of him here, so I'm going to continue on, and I'm just going to press kind of hard towards the middle. Any place I don't want color to be on the watercolor is where I'm going to trace. Some of these places down here for my checkerboard floor, I've kind of gone over with the gray crayon again to kind of create some shadows. So you can think about some shadows as well. Once I have my crayon traced over, then I'm ready to start watercoloring. So here's one that I've already started. I have my white lines here. You can see how it kind of, the watercolor when I put it on, it resisted, and it's almost like magic. And then I added in my gray lines here for some shadows, and I even went in and added in some some details in my black crayon as well. So with your watercolors, when you start, you always want to make sure that you're going lightest color to darkest color. So that's where I started. I started with my yellows first, my yellow on the floor here, and then I moved into my golds, oranges, and reds into his face, and now I'm going to keep going with my greens. And kind of move into my blues. And the last colors I'm going to use are my details. Those are going to be my blacks and my browns. And I've gotten myself a large brush, a medium brush, and a small brush, and I'm going to just show you just a little bit with them. So with large areas, I want to use my bigger brush, so I've been using this very light green here. Get enough water in there and swoop it around. And then I'm going to just go right over top. It's going to resist any places that I put the crayon. if I have smaller details, like I want parts of this green to be a little darker here, so I am going to add in, I think, a little turquoise and blend them together. And I'm just going to go through and I can add more detailed sections here. Kind of if I want to stay within the lines or I want to blend colors together. If I want a different color right on top, and then I'm going to want to wait for that section to dry before I add more color. Excuse me. And then I would move into my darker blues here, and then I would move into my purples for whatever sections. My very last parts are going to be my blacks, my browns, and I'm going to use my smaller detail brush. Now this part in his nose is dry, so let's say I went through all the colors, light to dark, and now I'm on my very last color. Then if I want his nose to be more of a black color, then I can go in here with my fine detail brush. I can go right over my light colors. There might be a little bit of blending, but I'm going to get my darker colors right on top to paint in layers. And that's kind of what it would look like. When I have my mini artwork done, then I can go ahead and tape it right into my sketchbook here, and I can plan my artwork and go get feedback on my artwork. When I'm ready, I can share my plan and feedback and any refinements I made with Miss Jusick, and she will get me my big piece of paper for my wow project. Happy creating!